Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Taksuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, greetings from Sridham, Mayapur. Must be something in the stars, because yesterday I gave class. It's a small group, but very few of the small group came. And today, I think we've reached our all-time low for Wednesday. Yeah, today I went to this place called Gora Village. Very interesting. This one devotee was a manager in Mayapur, and one of the top managers, but very loyal, dedicated to ISKCON, but he became discouraged. He was about to leave Mayapur, but then some of him and his friends got together and they bought some land. I walked there today from my place. It was a 45-minute walk, so it's not very far. What I feel, and this is a realization I had, is Prabhupada gave us this incredible instrument of conception and mood, that no one can do things like ISKCON. Certainly among the Gaudiyas, no one can do things like ISKCON does. And in one sense, an instrument can be used for good or bad, and no one can screw things up either. So Mayapur is very disappointing. Thousands and thousands of people are coming every day, but it's become like a Disneyland for the Bengalis. But on the other hand, same person who is willing to do that in a very cooperative way. If I dreamed of making a place as together and organized and beautiful, and eventually he'll have enough room for 1,000 people. They only build on 16% of the land. They have their own architectures. There's limits to what kind of house you can put up. You get to choose your color, but not any color. It's built with parks and so many things. So actually, I went there, I walked there. When I go to lunch, I walk, so I walked there. And it was super impressive. And I spent from 1 o'clock to 4:30 with that person. And it was refreshing because someone who's so clear in his vision And even very frankly, it's very selective. They don't let anybody in there unless they have a certain vision, So he really has a vision how this should be successful. Proactive management, not that you react to the problems, you see what they could be, and therefore make arrangements that they won't happen, or you have ways to deal with them. Well, anyway, today's class will be a little bit different. What I'll do is I'm going to Mayapur the day after tomorrow. It's great. I'll be able to go to the retreat early before everybody comes. Just one or two people will be there at the same time. And what a wonderful retreat. If you see by the Vyas Puja, I like events organized, and I know how they should be organized. The retreat is very well organized. I have great assistants, and I have all-stars. If you ever heard this Hari Parshad, he's going to give a lecture on the fundamentals of Kirtan, fundamentals of Smaran. Madhavananda is going to give some lectures on the many lives of Kubja in her different incarnations. I'm going to give a class which I will explain today as part of this Wednesday class. As part of this Wednesday class, I'll give a summary of it. As you can see, because I've been out all day, and I wake up very early in the morning, that I don't have my usual level of energy, which affects your remembrance in the mind. But it's great. I mean, the prasadam is the best in the world. I personally supervise the serving of it. Everybody's sitting down. We don't charge anything for the retreat. It's just by donations. Many of the people I'm supporting by scholarship, great people who just can't afford to come, or even can't afford if they had to pay anything. And other people are generous. Great kirtaniers, although we lost two of our best ones for various reasons, for understandable reasons, had to change their plan, but still, we have these Mauritian brothers who are world famous, and Giriraj on the Madanga. So it's going to be a great retreat where the participants get to live Gaur Lila. And I explained this many times, that one of the specialities of Gaur Lila that makes it most merciful is Krishna's Lila to actually emulate it externally, or even internally. To emulate it, you have to be on the platform of bhava practically. But Gaur Lila, to emulate it, anyone can participate in it. Because I explained many times that Mayapur is non-different than Vrindavan. Mayapur is not different than Vrindavan, and therefore every place in Gaur Lila, in Krishna Lila, is there in Gaur Lila, but in a different form. So Srila Sanga, where the Sankirtan movement began, if you know the story of Gaur Lila, that's the same thing as the Ras Lila. there's Radha Krishna in the Ras Leela. The holy name is Radha Krishna. And there's the devotees in that mood that are worshiping Radha and Krishna. The same thing in that Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya. And therefore we can even go to a place like Srivas Sangam and do kirtan. Okay, I'm just going to tell you, my mind is not working today at all, because I'm forgetting what I said and where I'm going. So I like to be contiguous. Yeah. Anyway, so here's what I thought I would lecture on. Title of my lecture will be The Mind of God. The last year, Sri Chaitanya's last year in Puri, and what was on his mind. And I had this concept, I explained it before, the mind of God. And the mind of God. And I was inspired by this, by the story of Bhishma Dev. Passing of Grandfather Bhishma, it starts with Yudhisthira being devastated by the carnage of the war and realizing that he had to fight, but the result of his fighting is that so many people died, 640 million, including his relatives. So he kind of thought, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. Whichever way I turn, if I didn't fight, my family would be run over, and if I fought, another part of my family, they got killed. So he even brought his question to Krishna, and Krishna gave him an answer to explain this phenomena, and he wasn't satisfied. And that's when I just started to see, really, in the Shastra, you just can't see the external events or what's overt, but you have to infer to really understand the pastime, to infer the thinking. And it's the same thing with perceiving someone. You just can't just hear their words. You have to see what's on their mind. And a lot of that is revealed by their expressions on their face. I read that book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. And anyway, there's many things in that story, but one thing he describes there is that there's 360 muscles in the face that are connected with different emotions. And if you watch a situation comedy and shut off the sound, you'll still be able to understand a lot of it by reading the face is the index of the mind. It couldn't be more true. So it's a little bit important in spiritual life to understand the mind. Not just actions, but intentions. Because what we are serving is a person's desires, and their desires are in the mind. So we have to understand how those desires are manifest to be able to serve that person. You have to understand what their desire is. And those who understand the mind, they are considered very, very special devotees, just like Srila Rupa Goswami. When Lord Chaitanya was in the Rath Yatra cart, and he was chanting in ecstasy, and he was expressing certain things, no one understood. No one understood what he was thinking. And if you don't understand what the person's thinking, you can't really please them. And the whole purpose of bhakti is anukulyena, Krishnanu. The whole purpose of bhakti is to please. So you have to understand the mind. Just like the 10th canto. So many people hear the words of the 10th canto and they see the actions of the 10th canto, but they don't understand the mind of the 10th canto, and therefore they don't understand what's happening there. And because they don't understand what's happening there, the impression on them doesn't elevate them in Krishna consciousness. The whole purpose of the first 10 cantos of the Bhagavatam is so that you understand what's happening deeply. Or we have the example of Srila Prabhupada. He understood the mind. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta gave him all blessings because he really understood what he wants. And you can understand what a person wants by their words, by observing them, understanding them, but by serving them. With the potency of service, service is like an instrument to help draw out someone's mind so that you can serve them. When you serve someone, they can trust you with their heart, with their mind, with confidential things. And in Bhagavad Gita, he said, there's the most confidential knowledge. There's confidential knowledge. And that kind of knowledge has to be revealed. And it's revealed to one who demonstrates his love by devotional service, the service, and therefore confidential. Again, what is confidential? Confidential is something that cannot be shared with people because they will either misunderstand it or exploit it or use it to exploit you. So even we know the stage of bhava is sudurlabha. It's difficult because bhava means Krishna giving his heart. And he won't give his heart. The absolute is meant to be served. And if you approach it in any other way, you will miss the absolute truth. Anyway, I want to discuss this phenomena a bit. And then I want to discuss the 10th canto in 3 different ways to kind of really focus on the mind. The first is, because it's the last years of Sri Chaitanya, so what is actually on his mind? What is on his mind? So there's that story where Advaitacharya, in a sonnet, addressing Lord Chaitanya repeatedly as the mad person. He's mad because he's not acting with discrimination. He's acting according to the heart. And acting to the heart is okay if you have a pure heart. But Lord Chaitanya's heart is pure. And therefore, in association with Krishna, he begins to exhibit very spontaneous symptoms, both physically and emotionally. But what he does, his lamentation and his passion, what he does, and this way you have to understand the mind, what he does resembles a person who is mad. A person who is mad is just completely on the emotional platform. He's not discriminating. But if you understand the mind of Lord Chaitanya, you understand that these are the same symptoms that in the material world always come from passion and ignorance. The same symptoms exhibited in the pure state, they come from the platform of a pure heart. But Lord Chaitanya, he's crying, he's desperate, the emotions are so powerful. It's not easy to understand. So, see, this is what happens. There's like, where I usually remember where I was and I keep on going. Sometimes a little challenging today. Whew. You know, who in the class talks about how exhausted they are except for me? And because I'm generally not exhausted. So, but I didn't get back. I usually take a nap, even 10, 15 minutes. But we'll go on, we'll see if we can get something. So, Advaita sends a sonnet to Lord Chaitanya, and it's confidential knowledge. And again, why is it confidential knowledge? Because it won't have the desired effect on the public. It can be given to Lord Chaitanya because underlying the mission is, it's time for you to go back. But for the devotees, that will be devastating. And we know one of the real symptoms, I think it's the first platform of spiritual life, is that one should think of others before oneself. Lord Chaitanya did that. He wow. Okay, I'll just skip back a little bit. So anyway, this message was sent by Advaitacharya, and Lord Chaitanya could understand it. Other people would be devastating because the message indirectly informed Lord Chaitanya it was time for you to return and your mission was completed. So I was just wondering, what was he thinking when he heard his mission was completed? His external mission, why he came for others, it was completed. Well, it seems to me, because what it says after that is he doubled down on the mood of separation. So when he understood the external mission was finished, then the half energy he put there was put into now him completing the internal reason for his descent, which is to experience the love of Srimati Radharani at her height. And then he kind of does that. Okay, this is my mind. I have to admit defeat that I'm too exhausted to think. I wasn't expecting to stay there so long, but it was just so interesting, and the person who runs it just wanted to show me everything. But anyway, let me see if I can get back. So I wanted to focus on three instances and see what's on Lord Chaitanya's mind for two reasons. For the purpose of understanding it more deeply and being affected by it more deeply. To understand it more deeply. So you can, so you're more affected by it. So it seems what happened is Lord Chaitanya, his external mission is finished. I suppose he had a great deal of satisfaction. I assume that he was overwhelmed with some type of gratitude. And then he puts his mind. See, before that, there's all kinds of descriptions of Lord Chaitanya. My mind doesn't even go from one sentence to another. I was supposed to take a nap. I got back too late. Okay, just somehow or other, this is a rare class where I'm just going to have to end it and probably take rest soon. It's like if I was an electric, instrument, the plug's been pulled out of the wall. And what happens is I'm speaking and I say there's two things and I mention the first and I forget the second. So, but thank you. This is the all-star team of those who are extremely faithful. I think I'll finish that other book quickly, and then we'll do the Brihad Bhagavatamrita in 2 lessons. Okay, I'm just going to go now. So thank you all very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha.